Double-digit thousands.
Hello YouTube, it's Toyd123 back again with another video in the Passive Crossover Designer series. And in this one, we are going to talk about how to create different crossovers, the one that is automatically calculated for you. Now, if you remember, we went ahead and chose a couple drivers that we liked, and we chose a second order at 2500 hertz crossover. Now, if you remember from the other videos, we chose that because of where the woofer and the woofer and tweeter could naturally cross over, and ones that would be useful in our speaker configuration. Now, if you didn't watch those, please go back to those because you will miss some very important information. However, we figured out that we could cross it over at 2500. Now, when we cross it over at 2500 hertz, it automatically creates a second order Linkwitz-riley crossover. Now, that's great if it works okay in your particular speaker. Now, if you take a look at it, it works great in our speaker. However, a Linkwitz-riley is not the only crossover that you would ever choose. For example, there's a couple others. There is a bezel, and if you take a look at here what the target is, you're going to see that when I press these buttons, it's going to change what the target looks like, which is that purple line. So if you click on bezel, it changes it a little, and if you click on Butterworth, see, it even changes it even more. So see how we have that dip there? Maybe we want to get rid of that dip. Now here's how you do it. And here's why you'd want to do it. So if, for example, you have two speakers you absolutely like, but you're not getting the graph that you want here, then what you want to do before you just scrap everything is go to the two-way crossover calculator. Now, this crossover calculator can be found right below the woofer graph or right below the tweeter graph. And you just want to click on two-way crossover calculator. Now, this actually pulls up two-way and the three-way and the fourth. I'm sorry, this pulls up the two-way crossover for both second order, third order, and fourth order. Now we're going to pay attention to second order because that's what we have actually designed. So what we're going to look at is a crossover frequency of 2500 hertz. So up here in the red, you're going to want to put in the valuations that we know. So we know it's 2500 hertz crossover frequency. We know the resistance is 4 ohms on both of the low pass, the woofer, and the high pass tweeter. However, if you want a more accurate assessment of the values of these particular components, what you're going to want to do is go to the website in which you purchased the speakers from. Now, we're talking about Parts Express here because that's where we've looked at all of our speakers so far. If you scroll down in Parts Express, you're going to actually see something called DC resistance, or RE. Now, the particular tweeter that we chose actually has an RE of 2.9, and the woofer we chose has an RE of 3.7, which is right here. And so if we want to make this a little bit more accurate, we're going to click on 2.9 and 3.7. 3.7 goes in the low pass section, that's for the woofer, and the 2.9 goes in the high pass for the tweeter. When we do that, we're going to get a little bit better valuations for our crossover. Having said that, you could actually enter even for the Linkwitz-riley if you want to change them a little and see if you get a little bit better of a response. Now, if you take a look at these, it will actually give you some information here. It'll give you both your capacitor and your inductor, and it will also tell you a couple other things. It'll tell you if the tweeter polarity is reversed or normal. And it will also show you right here where it says sum at FC. Now, this talks about where the crossover point is and where the sum of those crossover point is. So with the Linkwitz-riley, one of the reasons why some people like it is because there's a 0 decibel sum. So where they cross over, it doesn't make the sound go up at all. Now, if you use a Butterworth, for example, the sum goes up 3 decibels, and a bezel goes up 1.2 decibels. And a variable Q is just like what it sounds like. If you need it to go up really high, you put something like a 2 in, and you can get 12 decibel. increase. 0.5 would actually make it go down some. Whatever. Just pay attention and work with those valuations. But if you need it to go up a little, but you don't need it to go up exactly 3 or 1.2, that's where you use this variable Q. And let's show you kind of what that means. And what we'll do is we'll do the second order Butterworth, so that way you can see it. So the Butterworth actually says on the tweeter, you're looking at a 12.17 capacitor and a 0.33 inductor. So what we're going to want to do is go back to our main page and put those valuations in. So pay attention to this woofer graph here while I put these in. I'm going to put 0.33 and I can't remember the second one, 12.17. All right, 12.17. Now watch the graph. See, now that made a huge difference. See how this bumped up? Let's go ahead and put that on Butterworth and see that actually really matches our target really well. Of course, you could, always you can go ahead and work with these values a little, change them and go up and down to see if you get exactly what you want, but that's very good. And so now let's go to our tweeter. When I say very good, I mean right on target with what we're trying to accomplish, if we were trying to accomplish this. So tweeter is 15.5 and 0.26. All right, and I don't know if you saw that, but if you did, what you would have seen was that the tweeter bumped up really, really high. So let's see what that actually looks like on our graph. Now our graph shows a summed response of both speakers together. Wow, and you can see a huge difference in our graph. Now before, our graph was pretty much spot on this line of 85 decibels, and now you can see that it shoots it up to, what was it, 92, 93 decibels, and of course you can zoom in, but way up there, 92 decibels at the high point. Now that is not going to work for this particular speaker design, obviously. Having said that, if you're working with speakers and you have a huge dip right at 2500, so if you take a look, this is 2500, here's about 1000, and you see your dip is, or I'm sorry, your rise is up from about 2500 to close to 5000. If you need it, like if you're having a hard time coming up with that particular region, if that region is coming up short, as in like you have a null there, then go ahead and create a crossover that's going to work better with those speakers. Guys, there are so many different crossovers and different valuations that you can try. Don't just stick with whatever this textbook value is. Sometimes the textbook value is perfect and great and wonderful, okay? So don't get me wrong. Sometimes that's exactly what you need. But other times, you need something a little bit different, and that's okay. That's why this calculator is here. This calculator is here so that you can try the different types of crossovers and see how the speaker responds. Now, variable Q can actually be one of the ones that can be actually used to get you perfectly what you want, especially if you're coming up with some speakers and you're just having like a little bit of a dip there. You can go with something like a 0.7 and rise it up. I'm sorry, not a 0.7, 0.6, and rise it up just a hair, a 0.52, whatever you want over here, and you can continue to see that decibel rise. Now, don't think you have to put whole numbers in here. You don't. You can put whatever numbers you need in here. So a variable filter Q can be very, very important to use if you need to. So guys, this is really the part of the program that is probably the most important part at this point in time, especially if you have speakers that you really, really want to make work together and you don't know how. This is where you want to be at, and you're going to spend a lot of time really taking a look at these values, inputting them into the program, and continuing to work until you get a response that is good. Okay, So please don't think that if you put a woofer and a tweeter in here and they don't come up with like a perfectly good, even response, that you can't use the woofer and tweeter together. That's definitely not the case. You're going to want to just rework and work with those crossover calculators until you get the response that you are after. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you continue to enjoy these videos. I want to continue to have some out. I've got a lot of good responses from these. I do want to just ask a favor of you, if anyone has something in particular that they're really looking forward to learning in this particular program. So if there is something that you would like to learn, just let me know, and what we'll go ahead and do is we'll maybe go ahead and create a video on that and move it up the priority list. Okay guys, I hope that you enjoyed this, and as always, if you did enjoy this video, just go ahead and please give it a thumbs up, like the videos, comment down in the sections, and please subscribe. Alright guys, thanks, and have a great night, and we will have more videos out to you shortly.
Counting double-digit thousands.